accept you, please.
And but they have cars, they travel abroad, their children in private school. These people are financially stable, but they are the most deceived set of people in that triangle. You know why? They are deceived because they think that all is well, but all is not well. Because one major thing about them is the reason why they are stable is because they have a good source of income. Oh, but the day they lose their job, in 3 months they are poor. So see, a lot of all these people, I say these are big boys, they are just poor. Why? Because once they lose their job now, in 90 days they are poor. Yes. Because everything that they are having. So they can even have a house, they are paying money, or they even buy a house or build over time. They have cars, they are traveling abroad, they have some money in the account, so they think that they are big. But let once the crisis hits them, they are back to instability. Let them lose their job, they are back to instability. Wow. Then we now have the people that are in financial independence. Okay. That is when you start talking wealth. So you see, at that time, you are talking with in financial independence, you have come to a point where you have enough assets that the money that is flowing from the asset can take care of everything you need and more. So you know money. Just now. So you are now in financial independence. But there's another realm that is called financial freedom. If you decide to take care of 1,000 people every month, because life is all about impact. You start out with survival, you become successful, then you move to significance. But in order for you to come out of survival, you must have significance mindset at the point of survival. That's what takes you to success. Wow. So those are the things that a lot of people don't understand. So when you get financial freedom, it's not about because life is about impact. You are too small to be the purpose of God for your life. How many cars can you buy? How many clothes can you buy? How many food? So really, life is about impact. Money is a reward for solving the problem, and money is a tool for the fulfillment of purpose. So money is nothing but a tool to make impact. So at that point, that's why you have rich people today that have foundations giving billions away, and they are still rich. Why? Because they are in financial freedom. So, but a lot of people are struggling. They are at the survival level, and they want to grow. But you see, the reason why they cannot become significant is because you don't grow, you grow. When you are struggling, at that struggling time, you must not have survival mentality. You must have significance mentality. Survival and significance. Yes, even though you don't have money, you are poor, you are jobless. Your mindset should be: I want to make an impact. I want to make a difference. I want to be significant. Not I want to make money. It is when you are now making impact, being significant, that you will come out of survival and become successful. How can you become significant without trying to make money? That is the problem. You are not supposed to be looking for money. You are supposed to be looking for problem to solve and impact to make. You see, value is meeting need, solving problem, answering question.
All right. That was a very powerful video. Every time I watch this video, I always learn something from this video. He's saying life is all about impact. Life is creating value. For a very long time, I myself, I thought life was all about chasing money, but we were created to come here and create value and create an impact. And when we impact the lives of people around us, we in turn, you get blessed, get riches, and all those type of things. So that is why, if you're a guest today, someone invited you because they would like to create an impact in your life. So thanks again for being here. If you're a guest today, you're welcome to the platform. My name is Ndep Mazini Chair. Excuse me, and I'll be your host today. If you're just joining us right now, you're in the right place. My only ask of you is please name yourselves accordingly. This is a very highly regulated platform. We would like to know who you are. If you're a business partner, put your title in front of your name and make sure we know who your SMD is. And also, if you're a guest, just let us know. Put a guest in front of your name. If you're having a hard time doing so, just put it in the chat section, and someone will jump in and take care of you. I'm super excited and honored to have all of you all here today. It is a beautiful Saturday out in California. I see many people from Texas, Georgia, Ohio, Tennessee, and other stuff. So it is an honor to have you here today. You could have been conversation. So mute yourselves until you're asked to speak, and then you can unmute and do so. And also, one last favor I have to ask is, if you can get on camera, that would be awesome. We would like to see your beautiful faces. We would like to connect with you because this is all about connection. I have value, but for us to give you that value, we have to be able to connect, and so we can have that value. So please make sure you come on camera if you can. But again, if you cannot do so, that is fine. We completely understand. And last thing I would say before we get our guest speaker here today, if you can get something to write on, that would be great. I'll say that again. If you can get something to write on and a piece and a pen, that would be amazing because trust me, this guy is packed with a lot of information and he's a very smart man. And there's a lot that whenever he talks, I'm always here writing stuff down because you would have to revisit whatever he's talking about. So thank you again once more for being here. If you still have some guests, that are not on the call yet, you want to send them that quick text and let them know we're about to get things started. So enough of my talking, and let's get to why we're here today. I'm going to bring up our speaker today, and before I do so, I'd like to say a few things about this gentleman. This is someone that I respect a lot. I've known him for about a year now since I've been on the platform, and he's someone, whenever he speaks, I like to pause and listen because whenever he speaks, I always learn something. And it's one of those where you thought you understood what he was saying, but then you revisit what he said, and then it really makes sense. So he is an amazing leader, a father, a husband, and just a great person to hang around with. A man of faith that could take very, very complicated concepts and break them down for every human being to understand. I'm talking about educational level, career background, whatsoever. He spent about 17 years of his life in the engineering space working as a seasoned electrical engineer. A couple of years ago, after seeing that people in our community work extremely hard, we work hard, we're very smart, and we are very educated, but yet our bank accounts are not reflecting that, he decided to venture into the financial industry space where he has his team. They do an amazing job. They're impacting the lives of many, many families out there, teaching them how to grow, build wealth, and build a legacy. I can go on and on about this guy, but he's very inspiring. Has a Facebook page, talks about, financial literacy, and a YouTube page, and he just puts out great content and just an amazing gentleman. He holds a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from St. Cloud State University, Minnesota, a master's degree in management with an emphasis in technology management from Walden University. And he also holds a professional certification as a project management professional. Ladies and gentlemen, enough of my babbling. I would just like to welcome my brother, our amazing speaker, Mr. Kingsley Ekinde. Please, sir, if you're there, please take it over.
Wow, Brother Mazzini, thank you so much. Can you guys hear me? I hope I'm coming through clearly. I just want to make sure my mic is working.
Yes, your
mic
yes,
you loud and clear.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you again so much for the warm introduction. Good morning, everyone. How are we doing this morning?
Better than we deserve.
And that is so quiet. Okay. Maybe I should do
great,
this.
Thank you.
Should I do this? Should we have a conversation like this? Just see my picture. I know I look good there. That's fine. I could just continue the conversation like this. Would that be okay?
No, brother.
Okay. So, like the said, no. So I'm going to repeat that again because I'm greeting you. I'm an African, and there's something about hospitality. A simple greeting. If it's received, then you respond. Simple greeting. If it's received, then a response is expected. So I'm going to greet you all again on the platform. We have 62 of us here. So I'd like to say good morning to every one of you one more time.
Good morning. Good morning, Ekinde. Good morning. Nice to see you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Happy to be here. Looking forward to hear what you have to offer. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. That sounds a lot like people who are leading. Now, I'm of the Christian faith, and it doesn't necessarily mean that I am so inclined to religious because religion is not Christianity. But I have something to say to you because there's a man that I read about his historian. In one of his toughest times, he said something That stuck with me when I read it. He said, I am persuaded that I will see the goodness of his God in the land of the living. So if you
Recording in progress.
If you believe that you are in the land of the living, I hope my message today can also persuade you that you can see some goodness while you're still alive. Sound fair?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Amen on that, brother.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I'm not going to take much of your time, but I would like to make this a conversation. So as much as I'm going to have some slides to present, I would like to welcome all the guests who are currently on. And let me just take a quick scan so I can appreciate you and at least acknowledge you while you're here. Let me just scan through to see who is the guest. I see a Joseph Fumble. Welcome, 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 brother. We are glad to have you on. I see a Jasmine. I see an Ethel. Welcome, welcome. Who else is a guest here? Let's see. I see Angelica. Welcome. I see a Paul. Welcome. Let's see. Yeah, who else is a guest that I can identify here? Let's see. Let's see. Okay. All right. So I guess some of you are guests, but maybe they haven't been properly renamed, which is fine. But if you're a guest, I want to say this. What I'm about to share tonight, this morning, it's something that impacted my life at the beginning of 2020. I was sitting on a Monday night around 9 p.m. listening to a gentleman talk about his story. The interesting thing is that I can't quite tell you everything he said, but I can tell you what I heard. I'll say that again. I can't quite tell you everything he said, but I can only tell you what I heard. Why am I saying so? Because communication is something that is so profound. As much as I'm going to deliberate and provide information to you today, everything I say, you will not remember. However, there is something I will say that you would hear. And that which you would hear is where the requirement for action will be placed. So it's not about trying to absorb everything I say. But the part that sticks out or that you're able to hear, make sure you can write it down for yourself, and then make sure you can think about it or have a conversation on that which you heard with someone else, maybe the person who invited you. So here's my first question. I'm going to put up my slide deck here to share this because here is my question to you. Let me share my screen here. I like saying just curious because you never know what everybody else is thinking. So I'm just curious. We watched a short video that Brother Mazini just shared. But my question to you is, if God answered your prayers for your family's future, would you recognize the answer when it comes? I'd like to assume that we all believe in some God or some supreme being. So if you believe in some supreme being and you do pray, the question is, if the answer comes or when the answer comes, would you recognize it? Because in the short video, the gentleman said some interesting things, and I'm going to bring that to you. He gave us 5 levels of financial progression. He said there are some people who are in the worst of worst cases, financial crisis. Fair enough. You're struggling. You can't quite make it. You have some who are, okay, things are not as bad, but they are still very unstable. Then you have those who are quite stable. So they have enough income to take care of their daily needs and maybe a little left over to do some things for themselves and maybe others. And he also mentioned something that he said, this group of people are the most deceived. And he said, why? Because while everything seems to be okay, they tend to ignore or be oblivious of the fact that the only reason why they are stable is because they have a source of income. And in most cases, it is one stream of income. Now, I'll say this, if you have 2 or 3 jobs, that's still one income stream. So don't deceive yourself that because you have 2 or 3 jobs, you have multiple income streams. No. When you talk about different sources of income streams, it means different ways money is coming to you. So if you have 1, 2, 3 jobs, that's still just one source of income, which means you're exchanging or trading your time for money. But he said you have those who are now in financial independence. They have a lot, more than enough to take care of themselves, that even if they didn't have to work for a period of time, they will be okay. He said, but at that point, money is no longer what you're after. You're now after freedom. Because now you want to help people beyond yourself. You want to create impact. But instead, you have to have an impact or a mindset of significance while you could be struggling. Why? Because the vision must always precede the provision. The vision must always precede the provision. So a lot of us were looking for provision, but we don't really have something that is driving us. Until you have something that is driving you, that is beyond you, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to even access the provision. So just curious, which level best describe you right now, if you're honest with yourself? Which level here best describe you? I just like everyone, if you're a guest, and even if you're not a guest, put something in the chat. I just like to see, I just want to have an idea of where we all feel like we are currently. Just take a few seconds and put in the chat. If you're in a financial crisis, instability, stability, you just put it in there. I just want to see what we are all thinking about and what we feel like we are currently at. Okay, financial stability, financial stability, financial stability. Okay, wonderful. So I'm glad that it seems like a lot of us here are in the financial stability realm. So that means this message really is for us then, because we are probably the most deceived. And so that means we need to be enlightened, or we need to be helped. And here's the thing about help. I cannot help you to remove you from a prison if you're not first aware that you are in one. So the first goal and objective that I have to do is to create an awareness that you are trapped. Now, when you understand or you become aware that you're trapped, then now I have the opportunity to free you. Because my follow-up question is going to be, where would you rather be? And I can assume that all of us would say we want to be in the financial freedom level, which is great. Now, here's something I have to say. Why it says financial freedom, I'll tell you this. I really don't think that most of us are after to become so wealthy. It's not about becoming so wealthy. I really do think all of us here just want to be free. You just want to be free to do things whenever you want to do them. If you want to go somewhere, you just want to go and not worry about what your bank account is dictating. If you want to sleep and not go to work the next day, you like to do that. If you want to just leave the house and go for an impromptu trip with your family, you like to do that. You like to sleep in, you like to do that. So we are all after freedom. Freedom is really the essential thing. The issue, though, is where I'm going to go into to show you why money is the bigger part of this. Because all of us who've gone to school, Mazini explained or described a little bit about my background, story about my own degrees. If I asked here in this forum now, we're about 78 of us here, if anybody here has a bachelor's degree, a master's, or PhD, if I ask, I'm sure almost 90 or 100% of us have some kind of degree. So I know I'm speaking to well-educated people. Here's the interesting thing about the fingers of life, as I like to call it, and career options that we were presented. The interesting thing is I'm showing four, but you see five fingers. There's one finger that I'm not showing anything yet, but I'm going to bring that to bear. For most of us, these were the four areas that we were told about or we were encouraged to go into. In fact, if you were smart, like I was considered smart, so I went into engineering, you were encouraged to go into sciences, engineering, or medicine. I don't know of any smart people who were pushed to go into politics. I don't know of anybody who was smart who was encouraged to go into politics. But there were some smart people who went there too. But here's the thing. If all the smart people went into the engineering, the sciences, the medicine, and let's say politics or other, maybe finance, management, you name it, they went into those fields. Where did the other people who were not so smart go to? Because here's the thing. We were all made to go study this. And the thought process and the mindset behind it is that we were made to believe that by us going to doing this, we can get rich. So here's the mindset and the paradigm. Go to school, get good grades, you get a good job, life will be good, you'll be successful. The bad thing about that paradigm was that what was dubbed as successful, subconsciously, we assumed that it meant financial success. And so now a lot of us have attained that higher degree of education, and we are realizing that we are not attaining financial success. So here's what we continue to do. For most of us, which is what I did too, I got the bachelor's degree, I hit a certain income, and it seems like my income wasn't moving anymore. So the default mindset, which is what I had been programmed to do, was school, academic achievement, getting that degree is the way of success, subconsciously financial success. So I went back to school to obtain a higher degree because I believed that that was going to lead to financial success. And yet, this other finger has always been there as also a career option that we could have been educated, trained on, taught on, but it never happened. Money. Because I have to ask you this. You went to school for 18, 20 years, 30 years. Some of us are still going to school now, only to leave to go do what? I want you to answer me that question. Only to finish the school to go do what? Can somebody tell me?
Work for somebody else's pleasure.
Work for somebody else's pleasure. So you did all of that to work for money. For money. What if you have been trained from kindergarten, elementary school, high school, and college how money works, how to put money to use, or how to work effectively for money? So that by the time you're finishing school, you have a much better understanding how you can put work for you and not just you working for it. So my whole objective today is to highlight some things, basic, is to show you how you can begin to turn that around for yourself. And the only way I can do that is to highlight some fundamental financial concepts, show you how you can have some tailored strategies so you can really start to achieve a better outcome financially, and also highlight it could be products or services that when you utilize them with your proper understanding now, you can really begin to get ahead of the financial game. Because here's the bottom line. If you and I are playing a game and I know all the rules and you really don't know the rules, I guarantee you I will beat you every time. And that's what's happening. All of us here have been playing the money game for so long that we don't quite know the rules. So let me highlight a couple of financial concepts which will show you some fundamental rules about money. The first one I want to talk about is there are essentially 4 ways that we can really make money. And I'm going to show you these 4. And you tell me where you think the 4. One of the ways that we can make money is you can start up a business. Do it your way, I call it. And when you think of companies like Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, those are startup entities. It's difficult, capital intensive, but if you have a solution that can solve a problem for mankind, you will make a lot of money. That's option 1. Now, I am not in a position where I feel like I can do that. Some people have started. It's tough. If you think about it, Amazon today, we see Amazon is a profitable company, but Amazon was in business for over 13 years before it became profitable. Facebook for over 5 years before it became profitable. Microsoft for over 6 years before it became profitable. The question is, you right now, where you currently are you able or willing to start and wait for 8, 9, 10 years? Maybe it might be short enough because of a lot of information and technology. So maybe you may not have to wait that long, but that's one way you can make money. I just want to bring that to your attention. Option 2 is that you can start a franchise. A franchise is simply like option 1 that has been well established, well documented, and now you're buying the system. Because with option 1, you are responsible for building all the systems the business needs to run. You're responsible for doing that. Option 2 now is like option 1 that has been nicely packaged. So now you're buying the system ready-made, and now all you need to do is execute the system. So you buy the franchise, you have to hire people, to train the people, and you start doing stuff. And you can make some money. Wonderful. Still capital intensive, and everything else goes with it as well. Option 3 is the platform. It's not quite like option 1 or option 2, but it also has an established system like option 2. The only difference now is that instead of you hiring people that you pay without any guarantee that you're going to make money, in option 3, you get to persuade people to come work with you, to partner with you, to actually build the business. And in the process of doing so, it begins to pay and begins to function like option 2, a franchise. So it has the potential of a franchise and the potential of a startup in terms of cash flow, in terms of outcome, with minimal entry. Option 1, cost capital intensive. Option 2, the same thing. The cheapest franchise today might be about $25,000 right off the bat, without giving anything else, just to start, right? Option 3, you can see there are so many different platforms, from Amway, from Avon, you name it. Cost of entry could be anywhere from even $200 or $100 all the way to maybe $1,000. So very low. Is your risk high? Probably not, but it has the potential. That's option 3. Now, option 4 is the last but not the least, is the employee. That means now you're working for one of the 3. It is where all of us, or most of us, were introduced to start on how to make money. And for the most part, most of us have stopped there. Some of us might have tried one of the other 3 and maybe it didn't work out. For reasons maybe you may know or may not quite know. But the interesting thing about the 3 options that I mentioned is that they have leverage that option 4 doesn't provide or doesn't offer. Because in option 4, it is you trading your time for money. In option 1, 2, or 3, they get to make money on other people's time. Okay. Let me give you an example so I can drive this message in. I want us to think of a company like Amazon. Amazon currently, the last time I checked, they had over 1.6 million employees globally. Over 1.6 million. Wow, that's a big number, right? Now, let's just normalize it and say we all know that a normal work day is 8 hours a day. So So let's just say each of those employees work 8 hours a day, just 8 hours. Multiply 1.6 by 8 hours. You get over 12 million hours. How is that possible? In one day, that you only have 24 hours. In that same one day, Amazon was able to generate over 12 million hours. Let's just say Amazon is making $1 an hour. So even if they paid you, even if they paid you $1 million an hour, and you could work for 24 hours, Amazon will still make more money than you. Even if they just made $1. So if you're going to become free, as long as you're in the number 4 category, you're stuck. Your income cannot go beyond a certain level. You have to figure out how you can leverage other people's time. And that's what option 1, 2, and 3 can offer you. That is different from option 4. The second thing that option 1, 2, and 3 can offer you that is different from option 4 is that they can also leverage other people's money. Because when Jeff Bezos started the business, he went to his family. His parents gave him about $300,000. His siblings each at some point invested $10,000 as well. He used other people's money to build the business. Today, each of those people in his family are worth billions. Same thing banks are doing. You're putting your money in a bank account, your checking savings account, your credit card. Now they are loaning you your money at a higher interest rate than they are giving you in that savings account. That's what banks do, and that's how they make money. So if you're going to become financially free, you have to figure out how you can choose differently. Now, for most of us here, which option do you feel like you currently are on? Which of these options?
4.
Number 4, myself included. But I have something that I'm working on as well. Which option are you currently on? Put it in the chat. Let me see. So most of us might be, oh, let's see from number 3. Okay, number 4, number 1, and 3. Wonderful. 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 Number 4 and 3. Good. I'm also number 4 and 3. Because here's the thing. The only way you can become free is for me to highlight something to bring to your awareness that you're trapped. When I understood this and I started looking for another way out, it was obvious to me that I couldn't do option 2. Couldn't even do option 2. Maybe I could start, but timing and capital I didn't have. So the only option that looked conducive for me was option 3. But then I picked World Financial Group. There are many other platforms that any of you can choose to go into. But here's why I picked World Financial Group. Because number 1 is it does business in the financial services realm. That's number 1. But secondly, because the financial services industry is the largest industry that currently exists. There are about 4 major industries that we can all look into. Financial services, real estate, retail, and now with AI, there could be another one coming up. We can talk about like the industrial sector. But those are the 3 to 4 major industries. Of those 3 that I just mentioned, the financial services is the largest. It's currently at least at close to $130 trillion industry. Real estate is only clinching about $50 trillion right now. That's why even the statistics show that the most millionaires in the world are made in the financial services industry. That was the other reason that motivated me. But the third reason for me was this. I began to see how easy I could serve people to really get that was impactful. I could see immediate impact in the lives of people for little effort. Just like you're sitting here now and listening to me. Just this hour that you spend receiving some information is enough to impact your life for the rest of your life. Because you may receive information that if you act on it can truly change the trajectory of everything else. When I understood that, it made a lot more sense. I love real estate. But buying a house doesn't just change your life other than the fact that you have a nice place to live. But if I can help you understand financial strategies, what you can do, even with that real estate, now you're in for the game. Now you have a shot at the game of life. That is what motivated me to choose World Financial Group, because we are all about financial education, the education that we did not learn, the one that was hidden from us, the one that it was never exposed to. So if you aspire to even have a shot at building wealth, other people's time and other people's money is going to be crucial. Crucial. There's no other way. There's no middle ground. Either you are leveraging or you are the leverage. Either you're going to find out how you can use other people's time or money to make money, or other people are using your time and your money to make money. There's no middle ground. There's no middle ground. So, another concept that I want to touch on briefly is how money grows. Because a lot of us are heavily interested in growing our money so fast. So let me give you 3 ways that money grows. The first is fixed. Easy example is a savings account. The second way is variable. Money goes up, money comes down. Think of you investing directly into the stock market, or you name it, whether it's cryptocurrency or whatever. It's a variable way of growth. But there's an other part that's called index. It's kind of like the hybrid of the previous two, whereby now, instead of you participating in downward market behaviors, your money or your benefits get locked in. So you are never quite performing or participating in market downside. Every time the market goes down, you are locked in. Your gains are locked in. It's called index, not an index fund like you may think you can go buy S&P 500 index. No, it's called index. It's an active word. It's a verb, which means it's an action. It's a strategy. Okay. Now, understanding these 3 options, how would you want your money to grow? Because if you understand this, a lot of what you might be doing currently, you may just now have a solution, or at least have a starting point on what you need to start doing next. Because if you say index, I'll say great. Then the next question is that you may be asking, how? What does it mean? And I'm glad you asked, because now we're going to go into tailor strategies so we can show you, or I can show you what that means. Before I do that though, I like to define 3 words for you: risk, problem, and insurance. I like to define these 3 words because every time I have this conversation with people, these 3 things stick out, not to me, but these 3 things are fundamental to enabling you make the right decision in the right direction. So what's a risk? A risk is simply a potential problem. It is that problem that could potentially happen, just hasn't happened yet. Okay? The problem, on the other hand, is a realized risk. That simply means that it is that risk which you did not prevent from happening that has now happened, has now come to fruition. So what is insurance? Insurance is simply the transfer of risk. Insurance is simply the transfer of risk. That risk that you may not be able to mitigate. The question is, can you transfer it to someone else or to an entity in exchange for protection? That's why we have health insurance. That's why we have auto insurance. That's why we have all these insurances. Because there are risks that we cannot protect or prevent for ourselves, but there are companies that are saying, for an exchange of this fee or a portion of your money, we are going to guarantee that if this risk happens, we will prevent it from you. We will take that impact. Here's one thing you need to know, and we need to know this. It's clear. Life happens. Period. Even the good book tells us this, that the rain falls on the just and the unjust, and the sun shines on the just and the unjust. And that should tell you that even good things happen to bad people, and bad things also do happen to good people. So life happens. But here's the thing, you have the power to control its impact. Life happens, but you have the power to control its impact it can have on you. And insurance is one of those ways you can control the impact on what life can throw at you. If you have a car accident, you can either allow it to impact you significantly financially, physically, emotionally, or you can mitigate its impact by putting some things in place. That's what insurance is all about. So now with these three definitions in mind, let's take a look at something that is interesting, because now for a lot of us, when I asked the first question, we said we're in stability. So that tells me that a lot of us are professional. We are in a career, a job, and all of that. I want you to pay attention to this now, because I'm about to show you that your company, you have to start thinking like your company does. You have to start treating yourself like a business entity so that you can make decisions like a business owner does. This is what business owners do. They offer you things and they dub it employee benefits. The question is, are they really benefits? Let's find out. One of the few things they offer you is called a 401k, a retirement savings plan. Wonderful. In fact, they entice you so much about it because they say they're going to give you a certain percentage match. So you're excited that you're getting free money. Wow, great. You're getting free money. So now, here's the question. If that money is for your retirement, unlike anyone here who loves to lose money from time to time, to say yay. Anyone? Okay, so the silence tells me that no one loves to lose money. But you sign that document to accept that benefit as a plan that you are going to utilize for your retirement. And so you're putting some money away every paycheck. And so they are matching it to a certain percentage as free money. But that money is being invested in the bucket. I showed you 3 ways how to grow money, right? The bucket that money is sitting in is the variable bucket. Money goes up, money comes down. Early this year, a lot of people lost money in their 401k. Everybody was pissed. Now, maybe the market, the ship is turning a little bit now. Everybody feels okay, it's a little bit okay. But that's the bucket that money exists in. Now, the question is this: who is taking all the risk in that plan? It's you. Let me give you some hints how this plan is that bad. Let me give you some hints. So, number one, you are making all the contributions. Number two, when you're ready to start taking out that money, that's when you realize that you went into that deal with the contract with someone else called Uncle Sam. The only thing is that deal you went into with Uncle Sam did not disclose to you in the beginning how much he's going to take when it's time to reap the harvest, when it's time to start collecting. When that time comes, Uncle Sam will tell you how much they are going to take. I have a question for all of us. Do you all believe that taxes will be lower or higher in the future?
Higher.
Higher? Okay. So let's think about this. You are currently putting away money in an account where you're being encouraged not to pay taxes on it now because they entice you that doing so now will cost you more in taxes. So put it away so you pay the taxes later. But you're also telling me that you kind of believe, based on what you're experiencing, that taxes will be higher later compared to what it is now. So does it make financial sense for you to put away money to go pay higher taxes later on that money? So is that an employee benefit? And then let me give you something else that you don't know. Maybe you've never thought about it. Let's just say this company was going to have $1 billion in revenue at the end of December. So they were going to be taxed on $1 billion. However, they gave away $250 million to their employees as 401k percentage match. So now the company instead of them paying taxes on $1 billion, they'll only now be taxed on $750 million because they're giving away $250 million, right? Who gets to pay the taxes on the $250 million that they gave away?
Employee.
Employees.
Okay. All right. So again, is that a benefit?
Oh.
Who is responsible for planning your retirement? Is it you or your company?
Me.
So what questions did you ask about concerning your retirement, the plan you're using for retirement before when you signed that document? None. I really hope after this, all of us can think about what we are accepting. But that's one. They gave it as a benefit to you, and you gladly took it. But to them, it was insurance. Why? Because they are transferring the risk. They just transferred a tax liability that they didn't want to have. They transferred retirement liabilities to you. But to you, you call it a benefit because they coined it as a benefit. But the hood is a risk that they are mitigating. Let's look at the second one. The second one is disability insurance. This is very often. Again, if you fall sick at your job is like they don't want to be responsible for taking care of you because now you can't work. We know that because of you working for us, things like this can happen. But they are smart enough to say, no, we are going to transfer this risk to someone else to pay you for that, accident. And yes, a lot of time when I talk to friends and family about getting the proper insurance, they start telling me the things they have through their employer. I'm curious. If you're still struggling on 100% of your income, will 60% of your income be better? Or 80%? Because we feel like it's a benefit because your company told you that it's a benefit. And then they've even gone further. They're actually offering you life insurance now. So now you're excited because now you say you don't need any more life insurance because you're getting one from your job. Great. No, you don't, right? Because a lot of times when you find out that, this $1 or $10 you're paying for this insurance, now if you need to take it with you, it's going to cost you $50. You say, no, you don't want it. But they did all these things to prevent risk that they had identified as business owners. The only thing they did, they didn't tell you that it's a they coined it and told you that it's a benefit. So now I want you to take a step back and ask yourself, what are the risks that you see in your life? And are you willing to have your own insurance for those risks if you cannot mitigate them by yourself right now? That is what this next slide is going to help you. Because now I'm showing you 10 risks that any one of us can deal with at any point in time. And I'm going to highlight 5 financial tools to show you how they stack up against this risk. That is to say, which risk can these financial instruments that you may be using, which risk do they prevent? Which risk do they allow or they can't help you? So let's take a look at it. You have risk of loss, you have restricted access, loss of principal, inflation, tax liabilities, chronic critical terminal illness, that's health, legacy expunge, you lose everything potentially, probate impact. All of these are risks. And while I'm going to compare these things, I'd like you guys to put in the chat for me. Give me 3 to 4 priority risks that you feel like you would love to prevent it from happening to you right now? Which of these risks would you like to prevent, or at least have a way of mitigating their impact in your life? Just highlight them. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 5, you name it. I want to see which risk you feel like you would like to prevent or mitigate at all costs. Okay, number 1, 3, and 6. Who else? 1, 3, 4, and 6. Great. So just keep doing that because I'm going to show you this here. Let's take a look at this. Now, I want to show you the first 3 financial tools. I'm showing the bank, retirement account, and for example, 401k, and a brokerage account. If you see a green check mark, that simply means that that account or that financial instrument can prevent that risk from happening. So if you have a bank account, it can help you prevent 3 of these risks: restricted access, risk of loss of principal. That's why a lot of people love banks, because at least you can suffer some degree of loss, right? They still have limitations, right? Up to $250,000 per depositor. So you can still lose money if you have a lot of money sitting in the bank, in one bank. But it exists, right? But from risk number 4 all the way to number 10, a bank account cannot help you. If you have a 401k, the only risk that the 401k helps you to at least mitigate is inflation. Why so? Because yes, your money can grow, right? So you can at least outpace inflation if you have money there, because again, you're in a variable bucket, how money grows. But everything else, the 401k can't help you. So if there is any risk that you really feel like you really need to have, or you need to protect yourself against, then pay attention to these different financial instruments and what they can afford you. If you have a brokerage account, out of these 10, it can only do 2. Now, you have to understand this. This is the nature of these plans. It's not like they are preventing you from, no. It is how they are designed, which means once you decide to get it, that is what you have. You can't go to Walmart and go buy a particular brand of tissue and you expect it to function like Charmin tissue when you bought the cheapest brand. What you buy is what you get. That is what I'm talking about here. So if all you have is the bank account and a retirement account, then just know that these risks exist with the money that you have in those accounts. So now let's take a look at 2 additional accounts that maybe you're not even aware of. The first one I want to bring up here is called a fixed index annuity. I want you to pay attention that I put that word index in a different color and I underlined it. Why? Because I want to highlight something to you and bring something to your remembrance. Again, how money grows. I gave you 3 ways: fixed, variable, and index. And I explained that the index growth is a strategy. It helps to protect your bottom line so you don't lose money, that you can participate in market upside. And I'm showing you an account now that has that word index. That should imply, or at least tell you, that it means that that is how your money is going to grow in that account. And that's why you see no risk of loss, you have a green check mark. Loss of principal, you have a green check mark. Inflation, you have a green check mark, because it protects you from losing money. That account functions and can give you the result of a 401k, and even better. But you were never told about it. Not because your HR don't know that it exists. In fact, if you don't believe, on Monday, call one of your HR folks and ask them that. Are you guys aware of the fixed index annuity? Ask them if they are aware, and ask them why they did not offer it to you. Because they know it, that it exists. But it was not offered. So that's an alternative and an option that exists that you and I can take advantage of today. For the same money that you're making contributions to in your 401k, you can redirect it to that account. And now, instead of you just preventing or protecting yourself against one risk, you at least have a shot at preventing 6 out of these 10 risks. Not bad, right? Not bad. May not be perfect, but not bad. Let's bring this last one up. It's called Indexed Universal Life. Now, this is a life insurance plan. And I talked about insurance. Check this out. This plan can prevent all this from happening for you, or at least mitigate their impact upon your life when they do. Doesn't mean it's perfect, but when I look at this plan and its performance against the common risks that most people are always looking for to prevent or to mitigate, this plan stands out. It's a life insurance plan. And because it is a life insurance plan, that's where we have been deceived, because every time people hear life insurance, the first thing that comes to mind is death. So let me help you. I'm going to show you a book. And since a lot of us sometimes we don't like reading, I'm going to read a paragraph from this book. But here's the title of the book: Money, Wealth, Life Insurance. Find it interesting that the author decided to put life insurance using a different font color. And so it sticks out. But we know that the devil is in the details. So it gives us a clue. Let's read the subtitle. The subtitle says how the wealthy use life insurance as a what? A tax-free personal bank to supercharge their savings. That is interesting. How the wealthy use life insurance. So they are using it for something other than death, like you and I have been made to believe. This book was published in 2013. And at that time, the author published the top 4 US banks and how much they had in life insurance. And it was even considered an asset. Now, I'm sure you and I would agree, you would agree with me that banks are in the business of making money. So when it comes to make money, they know what to do, right? They are always looking at ways to increase the efficiency of what they do. So let's take a look at what this author says in the second paragraph, which I'm highlighting here with the red underline. The author says, for it is not insignificant that banks place billions of dollars in life insurance. It's a reflection of the value banks they place on this powerful asset. For banks, it provides the ultimate in safety, stability, and growth. I have to pause there for a minute. Do those 3 factors matter to you when you think about you putting your money somewhere? Safety, stability, and growth? If they do, then let's continue reading. More importantly, the FDIC allows this asset to be classified as Tier 1 capital, which is the safest capital a bank can have. And Tier 1 capital is considered to be the core measure of the bank's financial strength. Wow. So not only, how do I put it this way? I want us to think about this way. Of all the places that banks could have invested in, including real estate, they concluded that this is the safest place to do so. And then to add motivation to their already discovery, the FDIC, which is one of the governing bodies that oversees the affairs of banks, is telling them that if you put more money here, this is what is going to tell us that you are financially sound and stable. What a motivation. And your companies, some of them that you work at, they are doing exactly what banks are doing. This is just a short list that the author posted in 2013. That they are doing exactly what banks are doing. But they are telling you that go put your money in a 401k because they'll give you a 5 or 6 or 8% match. When the SCB Bank went bankrupt about 2 years ago, they had over $113 million sitting in this account. And yet, over 95% of their account holders lost their money. This IUA is a machine. Not only does it help you to grow your money, but but it does several things for you. Right off the bat, it brings a savings and a protection component immediately once you start a plan like this. On the protection side, you have 2 layers. If you die too soon, you get permanent life insurance that can protect your life up to 121 years old. You die, your family receives a death benefit. Here's something about life insurance. It is one of the financial tools that a family can receive income tax free. I'll say that again. It is one of the financial tools that a family can receive income tax free when the insured dies. If you die today and you have money in a bank account, in a 401k, in an IRA, that money will be taxed before your beneficiaries receive it. If you fall sick, these plans come with living benefits that can allow you to access portions of the death benefit ahead of time. On the savings side, not only does it give you favorable interest, you have liquidity and favorable rates that are disclosed upfront with no credit check required for taking a loan. Tax advantages. All your contributions grow tax-free, and all your distributions, including loans that you could take tax-free. You can take money out of it anytime because there's no required minimum distribution like you have in the 401k, and no premature penalty because you want to take your money early. You can have this, or you can have it locked in the 401k. The last but not the least, it also comes with another protection against creditors or predators. The plan is so powerful that even when you set it up for your children, which is one of the things the wealthy do, you and I will go set up a 529 plan. We call it college plan. So it's only earmarked for college activities. They go set up this plan for their children, which is a life plan. So from the time they are 2 weeks old, they have a plan like this, and they start making contributions. As that child grows and goes to college, they can start withdrawing money from this plan to fund the child's college. When the child becomes an adult, that same plan is still there. Now their life is covered, and they can still continue to receive money from that plan as long as you properly fund it and it's properly structured. This plan can do all these things for them. Yes, what I come to the conclusion at the end of this, everything I'm saying is this. If you are still confused about money, then that's when you are being scammed. So that's what scam means. And that's why a lot of us will get scammed, because we don't know money rules and money principles. And there's a book I read a few years ago, The Richest Man in Babylon. In that book, the author said something profound. He said, money makes an incredible employee, but a terrible boss. You don't want money to be your boss, because you will suffer. You want money to become your employee at all costs. These plans I just showed you, there are brands and companies that are known, well established, have been around for hundreds of years, that have been executing this plan. In fact, during the Great Depression, it will be shocking if you've never read some historical events in this United States. If you go watch movies in the 30s and 40s, most of the movies used to talk a lot about life insurance. This 401k thing came in the late 70s. But if you go watch movies in the late 50s and 40s and 60s, it's like if you did not have life insurance, you were looked upon like you were stupid. And during the Great Depression, while every sector was going bankrupt and struggling, the insurance industry was the only sector that was paying out dividends to its policyholders. I have to ask you this question. If banks are putting money somewhere else, in fact, let me put it this way, like a friend of mine would like to say, would you like to bank where banks bank? Where you bank?
That's crazy.
Because banks are putting money somewhere else. Banks are putting money somewhere, but you are trusting more in the bank But the banks are saying, no, we don't even trust ourselves either. We trust these people. And the people they trust, here they are. And yet, they are taking your money, opening this account in their name. They get to be able to prevent 10 risks, and they can only prevent 3 for you. It comes down to this. At the end of the day, it comes down to these 4 options. Everything I've shared so far comes down to these 4 options. Which option fits you best? Option 1, you want to stay the same. You hope you work out. It works out. No problem. Or you can choose option 2. You can become a client and get a customized plan. There's no one size fits all when it comes to financial plan. Whoever invited you can help you. If they need my help, they know how to reach me. Or option 3, you can also become an advocate to share this same information and earn something in the process. Or option 4, become a partner so you can actually start impacting life and build wealth. At the end of the day, if nothing changes, nothing changes. All of this is not just about making money. This is where this is more about, like I said again, the vision must precede the provision. Our vision is big. This is our vision. This is why we do what we do. This is why I am motivated as well. I don't have to say much, and I don't want to say much. All I'll ask is this, is that would you rather just read about this vision or be a part of it? It's happening as I speak. I'll show you why and how. I myself, I have a team of folks I've trained and continue to mentor. And when they started with me, I was able to help them see that their lives could change by just making some small adjustments. And you're talking within 30 days, people can see results just by doing something simple, sitting down with the family, having a conversation, helping them recognize that their money could be in a bad place, helping them recognize that they can make a better decision with their money, helping them understand that there's a better way financially. I said something that we all went into all these different careers and studied all these things, but money was the biggest one. And I left it as my thumb. Here's the thing about money. Money is really like your thumb. And your thumb is the only finger that can touch all the other fingers. And in this business and what we believe, there are essentially 6 things which I consider the tenets of life. Your faith, your family, your finances, your fitness or your health, fun, and your friends. If you're balanced in these 6 areas, you're good. But here's the interesting thing about these 6 things I just mentioned. Money is that one that impacts all the others. And that's why if we can fix the money problem, we'll be able to fix the faith problem. Some of us cannot give in church or even contribute in our community because our wallet is speaking to us. We have problems in our families because of money. We have problems with friends because of money. We have problems with our health because we don't want to go to the hospital because of money. We cannot have the kind of fun we want to have because of money. So money may not necessarily be the most important factor, but in my opinion, it is a fundamental. You fix it,